our body tag, we see that there is the div container that's wrapped around the inside div, which is the div with the ID of the slider box, and it has these input type for the buttons. So now if we look through all the code, let's start creating our second slider box. Several things I have to copy to be able to get that second slider box. The first thing is I'm going to copy the CSS for the original slider box. I'm going to highlight it, Control C, click down here, hit the Enter key to come down, and paste it. Now obviously I can't have two objects on my page with the same ID, and I don't want to have the exact same box on there. I want it to be different, so I'm going to start with changing its name simply by adding 200. Then I could start changing some other things. I could change its position. So I believe on the screen, or on the worksheet, I put 200 by 200. But if you wanted to have that effect of it sliding in, I could have one of these at negative 200. If I wanted to put in a background image, for example, into this little box, if I click right outside one of my semicolons, hit the Enter key to come down, I could choose background image, and that's what I had in that first example that I started the first video with. You saw that behind the buttons I had a background image, but I'm not going to add it for this example. So now I've added it in my CSS, but I need to add it in my body as well. So I'm going to scroll down, and here I'm within my body tag, and I'm going to copy this div, going right from the starting div that says its ID to the closing div. Control C, click, hit the Enter key, come down, and paste it in. Now same thing, I'm not putting in another div with that same ID, I'm putting in the div with the ID of slider box 2. So now if I go over onto my design page, I save it, and I preview it, I now have these two slider boxes. So this one is based on the settings that I set here, but it's not working yet. So we have some more code to copy. Go back over to Dreamweaver. Now the code that I need to copy is all of this JavaScript that controls the buttons. So I'm going to start right up here at my top function with the money sign. I'm right under where it says script language JavaScript. I'm at line 45. And I'm going to scroll all the way down to my last semicolon right before the closing script. I'm going to copy this, click outside and hit Enter, and paste it in. And guess what I have to do to each one of these IDs? I have to go and add the number 2 afterwards. So I'm going to start back up around line 45, I believe. Line 45. Everywhere that I see the pound sign, meaning there's an ID, I'm going to add a 2 afterwards. So now I am too far up. I'm at my original one. I have to actually start this at line 100. Sorry about that. So I don't want to change my original ones. I'm going to change the ones I just copied. So I'm at line 100, actually line 101, and I'm going to add a 2 after this. So now I'm creating a second set of controls after each one of them. And I also have to do it after the buttons. We haven't changed this yet in our body tag, but we will. So after where it says center page, I'm going to add a 2 there as well. Everywhere that you have an ID, we're going to change that ID to have the number 2 after it. Okay. Now I have to do the same thing. So what I'm actually targeting here in my slider box 2 is no longer when you have this input type for the button and when you hit center page to take on the value of center page. I now want it to take on the value that I've set for ID center page 2. So I'm adding 2 to this as well. Okay, so now let's save it and see where we are. Now they're both going right into the same spot. So we have our 2 different sliders, but we need to change the values so that they're not going right on top of each other. So back over to Dreamweaver. And I'm going to work in the JavaScript section here that controls where those buttons go. So I could change both set of buttons. So remember, starting up at line 45 down to line, I guess, 99. These are the controls for the slider box, the original one, and then starting at 100 down are the controls for the slider box 2. So I'm going to go to my button that says for center page. Instead of having it go to the center page, I could actually have it go to the left. Now if I want to change, instead of left center, I want to change it to a pixel value, I have to get rid of my single quotes. So I'll just put in a number, 20, for example. So when you're dealing with a numerical value, it should be red. If you're using language such as center or top, it should be blue and with a single quote. So now I'll go to center container, and instead of being top center and left center, I'm going to change that to top 50. I'm just picking random numbers here, just so we can have them go in different spots. And I could also change this to right, for example. Now you see how here's an indication that something's a little bit wrong. This is, my top is black when it should be blue, and it's because I still have a single quote there. I have to get rid of that single quote. Okay, now everything actually has gone to black, and that's the way it should be. It shouldn't have been blue. Sorry, I said that incorrectly. But one thing was out of the color order, and that's how you know that something is either hasn't been closed or there's a little bit of code there that needs to get changed. And I'll change my left. Actually, let's just change this to right instead. I'll put it to right. Let's put it at -100, just to see what that looks like. Right bottom container. I'll put that at right. Let's put it at left 20 instead. I'll keep it at bottom 20. And center bottom page, that's the one that moves all the way down to the bottom of the page. Instead of bottom, I'm going to put it at top 200 left center, just to get some things that are a little bit different. So let's save it and preview. They're both starting at the same spot. I still have to change that. This one I click, it goes over to here, and this one goes over to here now. So now obviously I want to change the text, so that shouldn't say right bottom container unless I want to confuse the person, which might be okay. And let's just check the rest of them. Center page, center container, center page. So what I wanted to just check was that my buttons are going to different places. Now if I want to change the text for my buttons, so instead of saying center page or center container, I'm just going to change this to say anywhere. Let's save it and preview it. And so now I have a little button that says anywhere. Okay, so in the next one we're going to change the starting location and add images instead of buttons.